Welcome to the Ruthie Report. Let's start the show in the correct fashion. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome to the Ruthie Report, and as always, thank you for tuning in. The Ruthie Report is hosted by Patriot Network News, PNN. You can listen to the Ruthie Report at minsterproject.com, theruthiereport.com, pnntalkradio.com, patriotsride.org, politicianreviews.com, iTunes, and of course, live and archived here at Spreaker.com. Tonight, I have so much news, but I'm going to make a personal announcement before we begin this evening. In the opening, and this is, I just hate doing this. In the opening, I'd like to thank people like Rich and Bill from Minnesota and others who send me articles and information to make sure that I've seen it. I'd like to thank all of those on Facebook who continue to contact me or post and provide information that we should all know. Unfortunately, there is just no way possible for me to be able to share all of the news from the illegal alien front week to week in just 2 short hours. I try every week and I just pack it full so that I can get as much out to you as possible. Like this evening, I have so much news. I have spoken before about expanding the Ruthie Report and doing more than one show a week. And Patriot Network News has offered an opening for this program whenever I would like it. Thank you, PNN. The problem is that I cannot expand this program and make a living while doing so. It's a real problem for me. I hate this portion of the broadcasting and, networking and the grassroots kind of thing. I hate discussing donations and money. I know people are already maxed out, but if everybody that listens to this program would send a small amount, or if you knew of someone who wants we the people to be informed on a daily basis, or even a minimum of a couple shows a week that would be willing to assist me in making that happen, please do let me know. This again is my weakest link in broadcasting. I just hate going to the people. But my husband and I have paid privately for everything except for the PNN airing, and I just do not have the financial resources to expand. Continuing as is in question itself. So, if you want to email me with any questions or comments, my email is minnSir@yahoo.com. The address is the Ruthie Report, Box 342, New Ulm, Minnesota, 56073. And I apologize for having to make this announcement, but there is absolutely no way that I could expand this program the way it is. The bottom line is this. I expand with your generosity or by those who wish to supplement its airing. And I am not a tax-deductible organization. There you go. All right. Now that we got the worst part of the program out for me personally, let's get to the rest of the mind-boggling news on the illegal alien front. First, I have an urgent action reminder for you. As you know, President Trump submitted a 70-point plan addressing legal and illegal immigration, and I'd like to thank him personally for doing so. Please, Mr. President, stand strong in your submission without a DACA amnesty. Of course, the Democrats are very unhappy, but alarmingly enough, folks, they are not our immediate concern. Our immediate concern, per Numbers USA, is that the president's own party, the GOP, is working against our president behind the scenes to grant amnesty without these provisions. They have a DACA task force, and what they're working on, God only really knows. But you and I know that the dream amnesty that is being put forth is nothing more than a mass amnesty. That is what it is. Graham and Durbin have publicly said so. Please take action. Call these individuals. I'll list their names off and ask them, tell them to support President Trump's 70-point plan without a DACA amnesty. The time now is right now, folks. This is an urgent action. From the House GOP leadership, Paul Ryan, Kevin McCarthy, Steve Scalise, and Kathy McMorris Rogers. The House DACA Task Force members are John Carter, Mario Diaz-Balart, Bob Goodlatte, Will Hurd, Raul Labrador, Michael McCall, Martha McSally, and Jim Sensenbrenner. Please, again, please, call every member or as many as you can on that list that I just listed off, or go to numbersusa.com to find it, and demand that they don't consider anything unless it's on the president's full list of immigration principles. Thank you. All right. Now, I'm going to just tiptoe my toes into this. It's the NFL and illegal immigration. And the hypocrisy is just unbelievable. You know, the No Fans Left, the Black Lives Matter, and the whole group of cohorts are dishing our flag and our anthem, marching in our streets, making demand after demand, and screaming about their needs and the inequalities that exist. But the whole time they are aligning themselves with the liberal progressives, the Democrats, and the swamp dwellers who work tirelessly advocating for lawless, illegal aliens and the out-of-control influx of refugees, both who just exacerbate the problem that they say they are screaming for. You know, if you support the liberals and the progressives and the Democrats and these swamp dwellers, those, you know, that are behind the scenes and ignore you and instead addressing Americans first, while you violently disrespect our nation, grow up and take your demands to them. America first. Stop spitting in our eye, making all of these demands, screaming inequalities, and then you go and put your support behind the very people that are flooding this nation, that are making more demands on the demands that you say you are standing up for. It's hypocrisy. And isn't it so telling? This is my next item for you. While the National Felon League and the BLM and their little anarchists scream their message, we now have illegal aliens jumping on the racist cruise ship. Do you believe this? This is from Breitbart. It's dated the 12th. And the title is Illegal Aliens Escalate Amnesty Demands by Claiming, you guessed it, racism. Top Democrats and business allies invited reporters to a Capitol Hill event to watch, not like, it was staged or anything, to watch illegal immigrants, aliens, demand amnesty and smear Republicans as racist in Spanish and broken English. Quote unquote, I am here representing all the immigrant mothers like myself. Will not allow the government to tear down our sons and daughters' dreams while they try to separate our families, said Linka Mendoza, an unskilled illegal alien. Why wasn't I there? Alien who has been living in the United States for 17 years since President George W. Bush was elected. She continued using a translator after being in the United States for 17 years and said, quote unquote, the president does not care about our children and our families. Trump and his government's supposed priorities are nothing else but an anti-immigrant and white supremacist agenda that don't solve anything. Need clean act now. End quote. Oh, good grief. Mendoza was welcomed to the podium by Todd Schulte. He is a Democratic political activist who is president of none other than FWD.US, Forward US, a lobbying group formed by Mark Zuckerberg's Facebook. The escalating demands and aggressive rhetoric from Schulte's illegals were much sharper than the prior soft-spoken claims by Democratic leaders who say that they want to protect dreamers from deportation. The new language from Mendoza included the claim that immigration enforcement officers of terrorizing people. Mendoza said Congress can solve today the young people's situation without using them as an excuse to deport their mothers or spending more money terrorizing people that live near the border. Many people think ending DACA or approving the DREAM Act will only affect young people, but it is not true. This is something that affects all of us, mothers, our families, and our communities, she said. See, folks, like I've told you repeatedly, DACA amnesty is nothing more than mass amnesty. A second illegal, Ingrid Vaca, said she arrived in the United States from Bolivia in 2000. I came to this country with dreams to protect my sons and give them a better future, she said in a heavily accented English, adding, I will not let anything stand in their way. You know, what about American kids' dreams? She continued, DACA was taken away by Trump and his racist advisors Jeff Sessions and Stephen Miller. We will not let racist men negotiate with our kids' lives. We will not allow families to be broken up. A mother's love is stronger than the racist from the White House. Oh my God. You know, so what she's saying is you can spit on our laws, and that's okay. So my question to her is isn't your love strong enough in your own country? Yeah, somebody should really ask her. The escalated demands from the illegals, aliens, are compatible with Schulte's goals, which are primarily to include a defeat of the Popular Raise Act authored by Perdue and Cotton. The third illegal introduced was Louis Condorame, who migrated to the United States from Peru at age 13 and ended up earning a chemical engineering degree. That he said, an amnesty for just younger illegals is unacceptable if it does not also include their parents. This just not something I can do. Would you accept a law where you protect yourself but hurt your father and your mother? He also spoke against the border enforcement upgrades and described the illegal alien communities as victims. You know, yep, folks, right there. It's a mass amnesty push with the racist lies thrown in for effect. This is ridiculous. This is absurd. He finished with, we need amnesty now. We need it right now because too many families are already been separated. End of this asinine article. You know, the never-ending, overused, incorrect narrative of racism. You know, it's funny. I didn't hear any one of them speak to the rule of law. I didn't hear any one of them speak about the outrageous cost to the Americans for illegal aliens. I didn't hear anything about our kids' dreams, American dreams. All I heard was just a mass amnesty racist demonstration by an illegal alien open border democratic activist and the lawless illegal aliens with him. Oh my God. No DACA amnesty, no amnesty, period. You know, the problem here is if you take a step back and you look at this, the problem is that Trump could end all of this, if he would just end DACA as he has without a promise to do anything else and make anyone that is in the country illegally deportable immediately, as it should be. All of this, and these groups continue to do this because President Trump is trying to find a way of letting DACA stay. Now he's got it up with the Democrats and the budget, which I'll discuss in a moment, using it as a bargaining chip, and they're not going for it. They're willing to shut the government down. Why doesn't President Trump just end DACA as he has and be done? Then we can send them all packing and not separate mom and dad and baby. Moving on. KRGV.com, dated the 13th, title, Border Patrol sees steady increase in illegal crossings. This is out of McAllen, Texas. New numbers from Border Patrol show a rise in the number of people caught crossing the United States-Mexican border illegally. After the start of the Trump administration, the number of border crossings dropped dramatically. But since the start of the year, those numbers have been steadily increasing month after month. A woman from Honduras said the problems in her country still drive people to the United States. Sacred Heart Church's Respite Center, which is once processed as many as 400 immigrants a day, has now downsized its operations to a smaller building. However, they said that they received a steady flow of people from Central America. End of article. You know, we all knew this was going to happen. Many of us said so. They do not believe our laws are ever going to be forced. And they don't believe our border is ever going to be secured. So the uptick continues. They know in their homelands, they're smart enough to know this there. They know that their representatives, the Democrats and the swamp dwellers, a few of them, are working hard in the United States for their illegal entry. If every politician would speak up and stand strong against illegal immigration, it would stop. The message would go out and it would be done. And we could secure our borders and life would go on. But that's in some other universe. Moving on, Breitbart, dated the 16th, title, Exclusive, Final Suspect in Border Patrol Agent Brian Terry's murder has been arrested. Federal authorities working with the Mexican government secured the arrest of the final suspect in the murder of U.S. Border Patrol agent Brian Terry. The apprehension occurred on Saturday in Mexico. Breitbart, Texas reached out to U.S. Customs and Border Protection officials for comment on the arrest, but an immediate response was not available. Jesus Rosario Felia Astorga is reported to be the final suspect in Agent Terry's murder that occurred December 14th of 2010 in southern Arizona. Jesus Astorga remains in the custody of Mexico while the Department of Justice works on the extradition proceedings. Quote unquote, by Chief Carla Provost, Border Patrol Agent Terry will be remembered always, and he will forever be a part of the U.S. Border Patrol family. This latest arrest achieved our ultimate goal of bringing all of the perpetrators involved in Agent Terry's death to account. After obtaining information about their arrest, Breitbart reached out to the Terry family for comment. Here's what they had to say, folks. One of my daily prayers was answered, Brian Terry's sister Michelle said in an exclusive interview. All of the suspects that were involved in Brian's murder are now in custody, as this is only another step forward. We cannot be more pleased to hear the news of the last suspect who was captured in Mexico over the weekend. She said, this fight is far from over, as we still continue to hold the previous administration accountable for their botched gun program that led to Brian and Agent Zapata's murders. Not only do these men and their families deserve the truth, but so do the American people. This is why President Trump needs to have the executive privileges lifted so we can expose the corruption, lies, and betrayal that they have committed to us all. I would like to thank all agencies that assisted in making this mission possible. End quote. Terry's other sister, Kelly, added that my family is very happy to hear the news. I have prayed for this and hoped justice is swift. We still have the government to come clean with answers as well. And Kent, Terry's brother, said that he blames former Attorney General Eric Holder's alleged involvement in the Fast and Furious gun running scheme for the death of the Border Patrol agent and the former U.S. Marine. He said, Holder is the real criminal here. He purposely lied to my family and his Justice Department to mislead my family of information of Brian's senseless death and by his and ATF's Phoenix gun scandal. These illegal aliens that committed this act on U.S. soil wouldn't be blamed for Brian's death if these guns weren't put in their hands by Holder. End quote. End of article. You know, this is great news. It really is. It's great news. And I'm happy that all have been arrested. However, with that said, this is not over. Not until all of the information about Fast and Furious, about Eric Holder, etc., is open to the public, to we the people. And then, maybe, then it will be complete. I hope that this arrest finds the family one step closer to closure. My heart just goes out to each and every one of them. Moving on. This is from the WashingtonExaminer.com, dated the 16th. The title is U.S. Immigration Population Hits Record 60 Million, one of 5 in the nation. And I do apologize, folks. I'm going really fast here, but I have an awful lot of news tonight. So, I do apologize for the speed. All right. A huge boom in immigration, legal and illegal, over the past 16 years has jumped the immigration population to over 43 million in the United States, according to a new report. And when their U.S.-born children are added, the number grows to over 60 million, making the immigrant community nearly 1/5 of the nation's population, according to federal statistics by the Center for Immigration Studies. Steve Camarata of the center's director of research and co-author of the report, said that the enormous number of immigrants already in the country, coupled with the settlement of well over 1 million newcomers each year, has a profound impact on American society. including workers, schools, infrastructure, hospitals, and the environment. The nation needs a serious debate about whether continuing this level of immigration makes sense. Mexican immigrants, legal and illegal, were by far the largest foreign-born population in the country in 2016. Mexico is the top sending country with 1.1 million new immigrants arriving from Mexico between 2010 and 2016, or 1 out of every 8 new arrivals. However, because of the return migration and natural mortality among the existing population, the overall Mexican-born population has not grown in the last 6 years. The states with the largest numerical increases in the number of immigrants from 2010 to 2016 were, and I will list them in order. For example, Texas is number 1, up 587,000. Next comes Florida, California, New York, New Jersey, Massachusetts, Washington, Pennsylvania, Virginia, Maryland, Georgia, Nevada, Arizona, Michigan, Minnesota, and North Carolina. In that order, folks. It's alarming. It's alarming. How many more? Is anybody paying attention to this? Anybody in Washington? Anybody that we voted in to represent you and I? And this from the Washington Times. Feds grant nearly 2 million work permits to illegal aliens in 2017. I kid you not, folks. I'm not making this up. Dated October 15th. The government will dole out nearly 2 million work permits this year to immigrants who for the most part came to the country illegally or have some other tentative status, but who have been granted a foothold in the United States thanks to a loose immigration policy, according to the statistics released this week. Almost all of those permits are discretionary, meaning that the government could deny them if officials chose to. Meanwhile, the country's main technology guest worker program has essentially become a pipeline for Indians to gain a foothold in the United States job market. According to statistics which show that people from India filled nearly 75% of all of the applications this year for the H-1B worker petitions, the main high-skilled guest worker program. The statistics were released as part of President Trump's commitment to more transparency in the immigration system under the terms of his April Buy American and Hire American executive order, and are giving researchers new insight into how the legal immigration system affects the job market. The most striking data set involves employment authorization documents, which is known as, for those of you that do not know, they call them EADs. It's employment authorization documents, which are really, in essence, work permits that Homeland Security gives to asylum seekers, refugees, certain foreign students, and others, including those who qualify for Obama-era DACA deportation amnesty, also called Dreamers. According to the new data, the government doled out EADs at a rate of more than 160,000 a month in the first 10 months of the fiscal year of 2017. Quote unquote by Jessica Vaughn, who is the policy study director at the Center for Immigration Studies. She said, the fact that more than 1.5 million work permits were issued to people outside of the regular legal immigration and guest worker program is alarming and cannot help but to have an impact on U.S. workers. About 17% of the EADs issued this year are to asylum seekers. The biggest chunk, however, of EADs, nearly a quarter of them, were to the DACAs who have been approved through that program. Unbelievable. So here again, another reason we should not have a DACA amnesty. Seriously. You know, this article has so much more. Really, you should look it up. It's at the Washington Times, and the title is Feds Granting Nearly 2 Million Work Permits to Illegal Immigrants in 2017. There's so much in there that I just can't share it all tonight. But here's my thought. So what are the unemployed Americans? Chopped liver or what? What about our youth that are looking for work? Or, hey, what about our returning service men and women who are come home after serving their country and are unable to secure decent employment? What about them? And what about these Americans, as I started the program tonight, in our streets screaming about the injustices that they face? You know, gee, maybe they could be working, doing something with their time instead of protesting in our streets and make a living at it. What about all of those people? What about America first? Yeah, I guess they aren't the priority, huh? Somebody should ask our congressmen and women why. All right. This is just so mind-boggling. Makes me so angry. This is at csmonitor.com. It's dated the 18th out of Honolulu. Hawaii judge blocks travel ban for the third time. Unbelievable. Just hours before President Trump's latest travel ban was to take full effect, a federal judge in Hawaii blocked the revised order, saying that the policy has the same problems as the previous version. The revised order suffers from precisely the same maladies as the predecessor, said United States District Judge Derek Watson, who has now prevented the Trump administration from enforcing the travel ban set to go into effect yesterday. It was the third set of travel restrictions issued by the president that was throughed or in whole or in part by the courts. White House spokeswoman Sarah Huckabee Sanders called the ruling dangerously flawed and said it undercuts the president's efforts to keep the American people safe. The Justice Department said it will quickly appeal. Unbelievable. The judge's ruling applies only to 6 Muslim-majority countries on the list, and it does not affect the restrictions against North Korea, Venezuela, because Hawaii didn't ask for them. It was just the Muslim ones. Isn't that kind of sound like it has a tad bit of racism to it itself? This is the third time, quote unquote, this is the third time Hawaii has gone to court to stop Mr. Trump from issuing a travel ban that discriminates against people based on their nation of origin or religion, said the Hawaiian Attorney General. Watson, who was appointed to the bench by none other than Obama, said that the new restrictions ignore the federal appeals court ruling against Trump's previous bans. Said the latest version plainly discriminates based on nationality in the manner of the Ninth Circuit has found antithetical to the founding principles of this nation. Hawaii also argued that the updated ban was on a continuation of Trump's campaign call for a ban on Muslims, despite the addition of two countries without a Muslim majority. Brian Schratz, a Democrat senator from Hawaii, said that Judge Watson's ruling makes clear that we are a nation of laws. Oh, no matter what this administration may try to do, there is a place here for peaceful immigrants from every corner of the world. Spain, Syria, Sudan, or Singapore. There is no place here for discrimination or xenophobia. You know what? Seriously, honestly, folks, not even being flip, I just don't know how in the hell these people can look into the camera and say this garbage. Really, I'm serious. This is nothing more than color my world peace insanity at a judicial level. That's what you just heard. It is a clear and present danger to the security of this country. You know what? The next murder at the hands of a foreigner from a country on that list, the next innocent American that pays the ultimate price permanently because of this asinine, judicial, liberal nonsense like Judge Watson, should be held just as accountable as an accessory. I'm serious. And we, the people, must then, if not before, demand that he be removed from the bench. Why? As an aider and abettor to the enemy of this country. If you think that is too harsh, which I'm sure there's a few of you that might be sitting back in your chair, if you think that's too harsh, I tell you what, ask the survivors of the next victim. This president is trying to keep this nation safe. We have wars going on everywhere. Real concerns for the security of this nation. And these people are playing games because they don't like Trump. And you know who they're playing with? Whose lives, whose safety, whose security? Ours. And I'm tired of it. The first American that is murdered at the hands of someone in this country from one of those nations that it just came in, this Judge Watson should be held just as accountable. Enough. I'm tired of this. This is just insane. This is 5th grade playground crap. And our national security is riding on it. It's insane. All right, this next one. This one drives me personally insane. I do have an update. There is a brand new, breaking update on this. But first I'm going to share with you the original story. It's at the Washington Times. The title is Federal Judge Rules Illegal Immigrant, Alien, Minor Has the Right to Abortion. Dated yesterday, the 18th. Illegal immigrant minors in the United States have an unfettered constitutional right to obtain an abortion, a federal judge ruled on Wednesday, ordering both the Trump administration and Texas officials to back off and allow a 17-year-old girl being held in a government-run shelter to be taken to a clinic. District Judge Tanya Chutkan, who was appointed by none other than Obama, said during a hearing that she was astounded that the administration was trying to hinder the girl, who is identified as JD. She said, despite the fact that she's in this country illegally, she still has constitutional rights, the judge said. She said the shelter, run by a nonprofit group under a government contract, must either transport the girl itself or else let her guardian take her to a counseling session on Thursday, as required by Texas law, and then take her to have the abortion either on Friday or Saturday. The girl illegally entered the United States from Mexico without her parents as part of the surge of the unaccompanied alien children who have streamed into America in the last 5 years. Under federal law, she was processed by Homeland Security and quickly released to Health and Human Services Department, which put her in the shelter to await a sponsor. HHS said that the decision opened the floodgates to any illegal children seeking taxpayer-supported elective abortions. As a UAC, the girl is subject to deportation but has the chance to make her case for protection here. And as we know, folks, those cases can stretch out for years, giving her a chance to put down her roots and disappear into the shadows along with the estimated 11 million other illegal aliens. You know, while she's waiting for her case, why doesn't she wait in her own country? And then she can come back and make her case. Why do they have to wait here? Why doesn't anybody ever say that? All these court cases and these backlogs. Well, we could clear that up if you really want to, because the lawyers will sue. Well, let's keep making those cases and let's keep scheduling them 5 years out. But let's send the illegals home until their court hearing. Oh, good grief. Discovering she was pregnant, the girl sought an abortion. Now, I'd like to just quickly say something that nobody else has pointed out. When did she join all these UACs and come into this country? Did she come in and she was pregnant? I don't think so. She's only 15 weeks along. So, golly gee, she's here. We're paying for her to live at Club Med. She gets pregnant and now we're supposed to pay for her abortion too. Is that what they're saying? The shelter still is hindering and refusing to take her. Of course, the American Civil Liberties Union has sued to force the issue. Of course, Attorney General Ken Paxton has filed briefs in the case saying that allowing the girl to get an abortion would be turning Texas into a sanctuary state for abortions. The judge has warned the government against attempting to interfere. Failure to comply with the terms of this order, she said, may result in a finding of contempt. Americans United for Life, a pro-life group, said that by requiring the Texas shelter to facilitate the girl's abortion, it meant that taxpayer money was going to the procedure. Once again, an activist judge has declared abortion access more important than U.S. law and a policy that prohibits federal funding and support of elective abortions, said Catherine Glenn Foster, the president of AUL. The ACLU is also arguing a case in federal court in California, saying that HHS has contracted with religious nonprofits such as Catholic Charities who refuse to help illegal immigrant girls in their shelters obtain abortions. The case is developing. Well, the update is this. But it's posted at msn.com and it's by the Associated Press. The title is Court to Review Ruling Allowing Abortion to Teen. The appeals court on Thursday temporarily stayed a judge's ruling that would have allowed a pregnant 17-year-old being held in a Texas facility for unaccompanied children to obtain an abortion. The U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia issued a short ruling that still allowed the teenager to be taken to the counseling meeting with the doctor who would perform the procedure. Texas law, state law, requires women to receive counseling 24 hours before an abortion. If the appeals court lifts the stay during a hearing on Friday morning, watch your computers, folks, watch your emails, it's tomorrow, the teen may still be able to have the procedure. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services filed the appeal Wednesday night, shortly after this judge ruled in favor of the teenager. And here's what the rush is, folks. Here's the rush. Are you ready? She is believed to be 15 weeks pregnant. Texas law bans almost all abortions after the 20th week. That's why the ACLU is rushing this along. They know they're got 5 weeks and it's done. Here's my thoughts. This makes me sick. It makes me sick. Very simple. Deport her now. Why are we being forced to pay for an abortion for an illegal alien via an invasion that we demand stops? We demand this stops. And they keep coming and nobody does anything about it. And now we are going to be forced to pay for this? What constitutional rights, by the way? She is a criminal who spit on our laws and is here illegally and has the only right she has should be to a speedy deportation. That's the right she should have. You know, to you taxpayers listening, are you happy about this? You know, you pro-life individuals listening, this is abortion on demand for anyone as long as they can get into the United States. That's what is happening here. Where is Vice President Pence? I want to hear from him on this. I want to hear what this administration has to say. How many more little illegal alien pregnant girls are either already here and are going to demand an abortion or are already making their travel arrangements as we speak? As long as they can get in the country illegally and get to some shelter, Club Med, whatever, then they can demand this and we have to pay for it? Are you kidding me? No. This is not our problem. Deport her now and she can take it up with her mommy and daddy and in her own country with the Mexican government, not the American taxpayers. Why are we wasting judicial time on this? It just angers me and makes me so sick to my stomach. You know, we don't support the invasion. We are demanding a wall be built and illegal aliens be deported. And now we're going to be slapped with this kind of crap? I don't think so. Moving on to state news. I have two for you this evening, California and Minnesota. The first is California. For LA Times, California declares state of emergency over deadly hepatitis A outbreak. This is dated the 13th. California Governor Brown declared a state of emergency on Friday because of the hepatitis A outbreak that has killed at least 18 people in the state. The declaration, the reason he did it, allows state health officials to buy additional doses of hepatitis A vaccine to try to halt the outbreak, which is already the nation's second largest in more than 2 decades. The outbreak began in San Diego's homeless community late last year, but has since spread outside that region. Los Angeles and Santa Cruz counties are now experiencing the outbreak as well. So far, 581 people in California have been sickened with this liver virus, more than half of whom have ended up in the hospital. The virus is particularly dangerous and can be fatal for people who already have other liver diseases such as hepatitis B or C. Hepatitis A is commonly transmitted through contaminated food. The only U.S. outbreak in the last 20 years bigger than California's occurred in Pennsylvania in 2003, where more than 900 people were affected after eating contaminated green onions at a restaurant. California's outbreak, however, is spreading from person to person, mostly among the homeless community. Unsanitary conditions make the virus more likely to infect more people because it is also transmitted through contact with feces. Now, that's the news on Moonbeam declaring a state of emergency. This is from voiceofsandiego.org, and it's dated September 22nd. But I want to point this out to you because nobody else is going to, I guess. Back in September, he wrote, and the title was Tijuana Sewage is Not Fueling a Hep A Outbreak, but the San Diego River might be. That was his title back then. It says the San Diego's hepatitis A outbreak is probably not the result of sewage spillage across the Mexican border into the United States. If there's any body of water to point to, it's worth looking closer to home at the San Diego River. In tweets and even YouTube videos that have been viewed nearly 400,000 times, the outbreak has been blamed in some way or another to Mexico. The online video claims that the outbreak is believed to have been caused by illegal aliens in the liberal Southern California city of San Diego, but no sources are provided for those claims. Others, including a couple of local journalists, have asked open-ended questions about whether cross-border sewage spills are responsible for the outbreak. In the past, spills from the Tijuana River have brought hepatitis A to coastal waters and prompted surfers to get vaccinated. But public health officials and water quality regulators do not believe that this year's outbreak in San Diego is linked to the sewage. The only body of water to be potentially implicated in the San Diego outbreak is the one that runs entirely within the United States, the San Diego River. A January count found that about 300 homeless people live along the river, said Sarah Huckmacher, the Associated Director for the San Diego River Park Foundation. The homeless people along the river go to the bathroom in the river or dump buckets that serve as portable latrines into it. They're also known to use the river's water for cooking, cleaning, and even bathing. According to a recent study by the city and the county, cleaning the river up to restore the wetlands and to reduce the bacteria would cost over $500 million. End of articles. You know, some are blaming the homeless of California. How many of those homeless are illegal aliens, folks? How many? A better question is, why does California leadership advocate for illegal aliens if it has so many American homeless families and vets? What say you, California? And of course, they don't believe that this sewage that Mexico dumped is playing a role in this. But clearly they are not sure. You can tell just by reading the article. I want to know, where are all of the stories on Mexico dumping its sewage into its rivers that come here? Where are all those stories? Where are all the articles pinpointing how this started and by whom? Where are all of the environmentalists on this sewage dump of Mexico impacting the United States and the environment? Oh, that's right. That's right. We don't want to upset Mexico, but building a wall will have damaging environmental concerns. But them dumping sewage into the rivers that float to us, well, what the hell? That's not a problem, right? Meanwhile, roads and bridges are failing, fires are raging, and a state of emergency has now been declared due to a deadly outbreak, and California continues to advocate for more illegal aliens by proudly going lawlessly sanctuary. Are you kidding me? Why isn't anyone holding the leadership, the government of California responsible for the homeless to begin with? Isn't that their priority? Oh, that's right. They're too busy meeting with Kevin DeLeon on what we can do next for the illegal aliens in the state. What a slap, black eye to the United States of America, really. It's alarming that we have any American in this country homeless, while the country is invaded by illegal aliens who our leaders cannot seem to bend over backwards far enough to help. Disgusting. Moving on. Meanwhile, in Minnesota, at alphanewsmn.com, Minnesota taxpayers burdened by illegal immigrants, aliens. Taxpayers footing over $734 million in Minnesota for illegal aliens in 2017. Dated the 16th of October. Washington, D.C. Minnesota taxpayers are spending over $734 million a year on illegal aliens, according to a study released in September by the Federation for American Immigration Reform, what we call FAIR, which is a Washington, D.C. based nonprofit dedicated to studying immigration issues. The report, which is titled The Fiscal Burden of Illegal Immigration on the United States Taxpayer, 2017, states on a national basis, illegal immigration is costing U.S. taxpayers an astounding $134.9 billion with a B dollars a year. In Minnesota, the cost per alien to the state taxpayer is $4,885. The report estimates that there are 150,434 illegal aliens and their children residing in Minnesota. The total cost of illegal aliens and their children to Minnesota, to the taxpayers, in 2017 is a staggering $734,890,769. Let's just say $734 million, okay? This is unbelievable. You should really, folks, look up this report. Again, it's the fiscal burden of illegal immigration on the United States 2017. You can go to fairus.org and find it for yourself. there's a representative here in Minnesota, Juskowski, who said, if I remember correctly, the 2004 Minnesota government study found that there was 100,000 illegal aliens in our state, costing taxpayers around $200 million per year. 13 years later, this report pegs the number of people here illegally at 150,000 at a cost of $735 million per year. The trend is troubling. End quote. Why are taxpayers forced to pay for this? Really? Why? And where is our representation? Not the illegal alien, the foreigner amongst us. You know, I keep thinking, I can't help to shake this kind of thought in my head. Just how long before the taxpayers have had enough? And what happens then? When the taxpayers say enough is enough, then what happens? All right, 3 more before we get to criminally and or insane. Like I told you folks, I just have so much tonight. This is at CNN. It's dated the 17th, and the title is ICE Chief Pleads Quadrupling or More of Workplace Crackdowns. This is good news. The administration's top immigration enforcement officially on Tuesday said that his agency will vastly step up crackdowns on employers who hire undocumented immigrants, illegal aliens, a new front in President Donald Trump's hardline immigration agenda. Acting Immigration and Customs Enforcement Director Tom Holman spoke at a conservative heritage foundation and was asked whether his agency would do more to target not just undocumented workers, illegal aliens, but their places of work as well. Holman said that he has instructed Homeland Security investigations to potentially quadruple worksite enforcement actions next year. He said, and I quote, "We've already increased the number of inspections in worksite operations. You will see that significantly increase this next fiscal year." He said, the goal is to remove the magnet drawing people into the United States illegally. He said that the agency would approach the task in a way that's a little different than in the past, by going just as aggressively after the employees. He said, we will find you at your work site where we're no longer going to turn our heads. We'll go after the employer who knowingly hires the illegal alien, but then we're also going to arrest the person who is here illegally. That is our job. Liz Johnson, who is the ICE spokeswoman, said, and I quote, "While we focus on the criminal prosecution of employers who knowingly hire illegal workers under the current administration's enforcement priorities, workers encountered during these investigations who are unauthorized to remain in the United States are also subject to administrative arrest and removal from the country." End quote. End of article. Excellent, excellent. Now let's just hope it transpires, huh? All right. Let's see here. The GOP to back Trump on border wall, risking shutdown fight. Now this is what I was talking about before at the beginning of the program. The Democrats and their never-ending threats to shut down the government, as this is their get out of jail forever free card, and it's got to stop. Here's what's happening. Senate Republicans have drafted a Homeland Security spending bill that includes the full 1.6 billion with a B President Donald Trump wants for the wall at the Mexican border, increasing the chances of a shutdown fight before the current government funding runs out on December 8th. Bill author Senator John Boozman of Arkansas told reporters Tuesday that the border wall funding would be resolved in a giant $1 trillion spending bill in December, along with the issue of whether to continue work permits for immigrants brought into the United States illegally as children. He said that will be part of the negotiation. And I think at the end of the day, the president is going to insist on border funding will be there. But because the Senate Democrats have the power to filibuster government funding bills, the dispute over immigration, the border wall, and Obamacare make the possibility of a shutdown fight very real. Trump has demanded that Congress deliver funding for his border wall and make dramatic changes to immigration policy in exchange for letting dreamers stay in the country. Democrats say that the president had reneged on an agreement last month to allow these dreamers to remain in the United States. They said that deal, both leaders said, would combine those protections with a boost in border security resources, but not the wall. End of article. You know what? A boost in border security. Oh, please, stop it. Stop it. A boost in border security. Stop insulting our intelligence. If you wanted the border secured, it would be. Stop with this more border security BS. I am up to here with it. We hear it all of the time. Oh, we've got to increase border security. And you see absolutely nothing done. Democrats, stop insulting our intelligence. We're not buying it. My second thought. Shut it down. Shut it down. Let the Democrats shut it down. Let America see what's more important to the Democrats and those few swamp dwellers. Either protecting illegal aliens and ensuring that the invasion continues while they fight the wall, or what's more important, the illegals or the Americans, and stopping lawless entry and protecting our country. Which is it? Go ahead, Democrats. Go ahead. There are millions of us who will ensure that the correct message gets out. The media is not winning the narrative. And we will ensure that if there is a government shutdown, it will be hung around your necks, Democrats, in favor of the illegals, not the Americans. All right. There's another one here on, and I'm going to hold it if I get to it at the end here. It's about federal immigration jails, and we'll see. On the DACA front, just real quick, more judicial just nonsense. You know, it's at political.com. Judge, DACA legal advice must be made public. Now, before I get into this, folks, I would like to point out that this judge is saying that everything with the decision on DACA must become public. However, you heard me share a short time ago that Fast and Furious, we can't get a damn thing out of them. Where are the judges on Fast and Furious? Why is there not some conservative judge now that the last murderer has been arrested and is coming to the United States? Where is some conservative judge that says that should be made public as well? Good question. All right. A federal judge in California on Tuesday ordered the Trump administration to turn over emails, letters, memos, and other material related to its decision to end DACA. The order by the district judge William Elsa, based in San Francisco, also appears to cover legal advice about winding down the program, which grants quasi-legal status and work permits to so-called dreamers. Acting in a series of lawsuits filed over the decision, the judge said that the administration had waived its attorney-client privilege by claiming the decision was driven by concerns that the program is unconstitutional. It is. Yeah. The Justice Department released a one-page opinion from Attorney General Jeff Sessions calling the program an open-ended circumvention of immigration law, that was an unconstitutional exercise of authority by the executive branch. The judge said that wasn't enough. The plaintiffs' separate lawsuits, 5 of them, over the DACA termination, including one brought by none other than Napolitano, have demanded that the administration hand over the documents related to its decision. Yeah. I wonder if they're going to ask for the servers. Gee, maybe the Trump administration could contact the Clinton household and ask them how to just make sure they don't get there, huh? No, see, we work up front on the upfront, and DACA is unconstitutional. This is just more judicial, democratic, appointed, asinine rulings, void of our Constitution and void of the law. I did not hear anything in there that said that the DACA was ruled unconstitutional. I didn't hear the fact that many of these people are now adults, not children. I didn't hear anything about the fact that Obama created DACA via a memo. It is not a law. It is a temporary stay of deportation that was against the Constitution because Obama can't make immigration law. Congress does. So where is President Trump's judicial team? Where are these people? Aren't there any conservative judges rendering rulings in this country anymore? I just don't understand. There's no need to wonder, folks, when illegal alien lawlessness will reach the highest levels in this nation. It's already there, being played out lawlessly in our courts. President Trump rescinded DACA because it was unconstitutional. This judge is just... All right, let's get to criminally and/or insane, because I have so much of that tonight, too. We'll get to as much as we can. First, mother of 4 faces deportation. This is at KUTV.com out of Salt Lake City, Utah. Maria Santiago, 40, hopes officials at ICE will heed the requests of supporters who stood outside the immigration court building chanting on behalf of Maria and her 4 minor children. The single mother, who has been in the United States for 14 years, faces deportation. Her attorney, Gage Herbst, said that he will file a petition asking the court to stay her removal from the United States, although under the current president, deportation of parents with U.S.-born children are more common. Under the past administration, parents like Santiago were a low priority for deportation. She said, Maria herself, "I don't want to be separated from my children. The idea of leaving the country without her children," she said she wouldn't leave them. Her children are ages 11, 9, 5, and 3, all born in the United States, in Utah. But she would have no choice but to leave with their mother to Guatemala. There's much more of this article, but you get the gist. You know, and for all of you heart bleeders out there, so if you let this woman go, where does it end? Where does it end? What did she do to make this right in the first place? Absolutely nothing. Instead, she had 4 children, knowing full well she was in the country illegally, knowing full well that they were her anchor babies, and hoping that that would be her get out of jail free card. Again, I ask, so where does it end? With every illegal alien, with every sob story that comes here illegally and does nothing to correct her status but has children, that I bet we, the American abiding taxpayer, are paying for. So where does this end? And where is the father of these children? Who is paying for a single mother of illegally in the country of 4? And another thing, this is another thing that nobody ever brings up. Why isn't she asking the Guatemalan government, her homeland, for help from the violence? Oh, that's right. Why would she do that? And why would her government, the Guatemalan government, help her when the Americans continue to do so? They're not stupid. The Guatemalan government is more than happy for you and I to pick up the tab. Where does it end? She has to be deported. Next, USAtoday.com, dated the 17th. Sanctuary seeker finds refuge from deportation at Colorado church. Fort Collins, Colorado. A Peruvian immigrant sought sanctuary at a Colorado church Tuesday morning, hours before her scheduled deportation flight. Ingrid Latore, 33, of Denver, was taken in by the Foothills Unitarian Universalist Church in Fort Collins. She was ordered deported to her native country because of a 2010 conviction for possession of falsified or stolen identification papers. She initially sought sanctuary at a Quaker meeting house in Denver from November 2016 until May. That deportation order was put on hold while she appealed it. The appeal was denied, and the Colorado governor refused to pardon her. Now, Latore initially had planned to board. This is her excuse why she didn't board, folks. She planned to board the flight and even was going away partly planned, but supporters at the church said, but her younger son, who is not quite 2, became sick with the flu. And she didn't think it would be healthy for him or others to be on an 18-hour flight. Meanwhile, her older son, who is 9, didn't want to leave his home for a country that he's never been to. Oh, can't you hear those tugs on those heartstrings and the violins playing in the background? Both children are U.S. citizens, so apparently the anchor baby card is not working here. She hopes for another legal review to her case, but said she is mentally preparing to stay in the sanctuary throughout the Trump administration. This woman is going to live there until Trump isn't president. Another 7.5 years, some say. Hope she likes it there. ICE spokesperson Carl Rusnick told the AP that Latore is currently an ICE fugitive because she failed to leave the United States after a federal immigration judge granted her a voluntary departure. He refused to comment on any future enforcement actions while noting that ICE policy directs agents to avoid enforcement activities at houses of worship, schools, and hospitals without approval from their supervisors or in a non-emergency situation. You know what? Seriously? Deport, deport, deport. And this church hiding business, this has got to stop. The woman exhausted her appeals. She's in the country illegally. She committed it didn't even say if it was what kind of charge they classified it as, but she had stolen identification papers. And she's ordered to deport. So she must be deported. She's going to stay in that church for 7.5 years. We'll see. I doubt it, but we'll see. Moving on. These people just come and go, the illegals, into our country and out. And it is really, seriously, a national security clear and present danger. How do we know who these people even are? In this case, we know because border agents arrest Mexican man just 2 days after the federal government deported him. I kid you not, folks, 2 days. This is by CBS 4 News, dated the 16th. Border Patrol arrested a 60-year-old man on Friday, just 2 days after the federal government deported him. They arrested Ricardo Ramirez Angel, 60, a Mexican citizen, after he illegally crossed the border, according to the complaint. Record checks reveal that Ricardo was formally deported from the United States on October 11th through Laredo. Ricardo Ramirez, had at least 8 misdemeanor convictions and a felony conviction in Hidalgo County. On March 21st of 2001, he was convicted of escape from custody, evading arrest, of detention, and driving while intoxicated. 2003, convicted of assault causing bodily harm to a family member. 2004, convicted on 2 counts of assault causing bodily injury to a family member, Class A misdemeanor. 2015, pled guilty to escape from custody and driving while intoxicated. At that time, the judge sentenced him to time served. In 2017, Ramirez pled guilty to driving while intoxicated, 3rd offense or more, a 3rd-degree felony. And what happened? The state district judge, Guerrera, sentenced Ramirez to 5 years in prison, but suspended the sentence and placed him on probation for 5 years instead. He is now charged with illegal reentry. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? It starts in 2001. And he's deported October 11th, and he's arrested again, coming back in the border on October 13th. Like I said, folks, they're just coming and going at will. Living large with DWI after DWI. Build the wall already. And then we have this at AZ Central, dated the 17th. MS-13 gang member arrested at Arizona border crossing. Officers referred 29-year-old Jose Daniel Calderon, Canada, for further inspection when he applied for entry into the country at the Dennis D. Kissimmee port of entry and falsely claimed to be a U.S. citizen. Records show that Canada is a Mexican national and that he has been deported multiple times. He is also a member of MS-13. Border officers arrested him in connection with making a false claim to citizenship and referred him to federal prosecution. End of article. Like I said, they just come in and out, in and out, in and out. Lying, previously deported gang member. And he's lying, trying to enter the United States again, saying he is a U.S. citizen. You know what? These people do not care what laws are created in this country. They don't care. It doesn't matter because they're not going to listen anyway. Enforce our current immigration laws and stop this madness and lawlessness. This is breaking today, or it's all over the media today. 84 children rescued nationwide from human trafficking. One was a 3-month-old child. The article that I chose to share is from WSPA, Columbia, South Carolina. The Federal Bureau of Investigations, along with the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, rescued 84 children and arrested 120 traffickers as part of Operation Cross Country 11, a nationwide effort focusing on the underage human trafficking that ran from October 12th through the 15th. FBI agents and task force officers staged operations in hotels, casinos, and truck stops, as well on street corners and internet websites. The youngest victim recovered was 3 months old. The average age of the victims, 15. Agents report that 3-month-old girl was rescued along with a 5-year-old girl from a home in Denver after a friend of the family offered an undercover officer sex with the 2 children, the 2 girls, in exchange for $600. Oh my God. 3 months old. The FBI is working with Child Protective Services to conduct a forensic interview and secure safe placement of the children. That subject is under arrest. 3 prostitute arrests were made in Myrtle Beach and were part of the national effort as well. You know, I know that there are many modes of transportation in human trafficking. Plane, cars, visas, there's just so much of it. So many to mention, but also our borders and our ports. Really. Building the wall and securing our southern border may have a real impact on human smuggling, wouldn't you say? It's just too bad that the liberal progressives, the Democrats, the open borders, and the swamp dwellers just do not seem to care, folks. They don't care enough about the effects of human trafficking and the victims versus the impact it would have on their agendas, the special interests, the greed, and their quest for power. Because if they really did, something would be done about it. 3 months old. Oh my God. I just, it's mind-numbing. This is from KDVR.com, dated the 8th. Westminster, Colorado. A woman is dead and one is severely wounded following a stabbing in Westminster. It happened around 11:30 p.m. when Westminster police received a 911 hang-up call. When officers got to the house, there were 2 female victims suffering from severe stab wounds. One of the victims died on the scene and the other victim was transported to the hospital in critical condition. Officers were able to get 3 other children, all under the age of 10, out of the home unharmed. The male suspect, 23-year-old Adrian Luis Ramirez, was taken into custody at the home. The woman stabbed to death was Ramirez's mother, and the other victim was his sister. Ramirez is charged with first-degree murder, child abuse, and criminal attempt to commit first-degree murder. He is being held in the Adams County Detention Facility. All right. Up front, his immigration status is not disclosed. You and I know how this works. The media doesn't want to disclose that, so they're not including it. Meaning, we only receive some of the information regarding this incident and this murder. The media is not telling the entire story, so I can only share with you what I know. This is out of Fox5DC.com, dated the 16th. Woodbridge, Virginia. A man whose alleged abduction of a teenage girl triggered an Amber Alert on Sunday claimed to be a member of the violent street gang and gave a false name to police when he was located. 21-year-old Roberto Antoni Medrano Segovia, oh my God, is accused of forcing 16-year-old Shania Aguilar Cruz into his vehicle and driving off after the two were allegedly involved in an argument at a party. Authorities say witnesses told him that, we're going to use first names here, Roberto claimed to be an MS-13 member and that he was armed with a knife at the party. They say he left and later returned to slash the tires of another person's vehicle before allegedly forcing Aguilera Cruz into his car and driving off. Both were found unharmed at around 2 p.m. the same day at a house on Barksdale Street. Police say that they both provided false identification to the officers, and that Cruz was reunited with her family after her identity was discovered. Roberto was arrested and faces charges of abduction, gang participation, destruction of property, and providing a false name to law enforcement. He is being held without a bond at this time. Roberto is believed to be in the United States illegally, and ICE has lodged a detainer on him. His court date is November 7th. You know, I'm wondering for both suspects, Cruz and Roberto himself. Are they anchor babies? Are they dreamers? Or are they just UACs? Just illegal aliens? What? And if the media refuses to include their status in these articles, we are only left to assume they do believe that they are in the country illegally. Seeing they both gave cops fake ID. Good Lord. Here is a disturbing, another loss of life. Another article where the immigration status is not disclosed. You know, so before I share this with you, I have a message to Valley Central in Texas, valleycentral.com. You know, Valley Central, if you want to continue posting information with only half the story, go ahead. Go ahead. But let it be known that your tactics will not work here on the Ruthie Report. If you refuse, flat out refuse, to report all of the information, we are left to be forced to assume. Therefore, by refusing to acknowledge immigration status, those who are here legally will be reported on as well, mixing the legal and the illegal. It's your choice, Valley Central. You decide. I'm going to report, and the people will decide for themselves. You leave us no alternative. All right, this is from valleycentral.com. McAllen woman charged after fatal crash. CBS 4 News. dated the 14th. Valerie Elizabeth Guerrera, 25 of McAllen, has been charged with intoxication manslaughter, a second-degree felony, and possession of controlled substance, a state jail felony, in the connection of a fatal crash. Police say that Guerrera failed to yield the right-of-way at an intersection and subsequently collided with a motorcyclist, later identified as 31-year-old Robert Perez, the third of Donna. Perez was pronounced dead at the scene. During a body search, McAllen police found a bag of white powdery substance inside Guerrera's left rear pocket. The substance tested positive for cocaine. After conducting several field sobriety tests, McAllen police arrested her. She has been charged with intoxication manslaughter, a second-degree felony, and possession of controlled substance. A judge has set the bond at $41,000. She was released, of course, from the Hidalgo County Jail on Thursday, according to the records, and she couldn't be reached for comment. Oh, intoxication manslaughter. In possession, in and on possession of coke, with her immigration status unknown, and she's already out. You know, where do these people get all of this bond money? And where is she now? Anybody know? I suppose she's never to be seen again until the next go around. This is at Valley Central. Officers arrest, and this is violent, folks, violent. Officers arrest Edinburgh man accused of kidnapping and sexually assaulting a witness. It is by CBS 4 News, dated the 16th. Investigators arrested an Edinburgh man last week after he kidnapped a waitress and sexually assaulted her, according to the Edinburgh Municipal Court records. At about 2 a.m. on October 9th, the waitress left work, according to the complaint. The waitress recognized a customer, 27-year-old Andrew Cesara Ramos of Edinburgh, who offered her a ride home. Ramos, though, drove the waitress to a nearby Walmart parking lot and started to sexually assault her. The waitress fought back, but Ramos overpowered her. She said that Andrew then placed his hands around my neck and began to squeeze it to the point where she passed out. Ramos, the sexual deviant that he is, called his girlfriend. Do you believe this? You're raping someone, and he calls his girlfriend, who met him at the Walmart parking lot, according to the complaint. The girlfriend said that Ramos pulled out a gun and forced her to drive the unconscious waitress to a ranch. When they arrived at the ranch, the waitress attempted to escape. She said that she tried to crawl for safety, but Andrew began to punch and kick her on the face and body. The waitress said she was then dragged and placed in a different car and driven to a hotel without her consent. Ramos then sexually assaulted the waitress at the hotel. Unfortunately for him, officers were there and arrested him at this hotel. It doesn't say how the officers knew. He has been charged with aggravated kidnapping, a first-degree felony, 2 counts of aggravated sexual assault, a first-degree felony, aggravated assault causing serious bodily injury, a second-degree felony, and assault, which is third degree. The judge has set his bond at $1,650,000. He remains in the Hidalgo County Jail and could not be reached for comment. Okay, here's the kicker, folks. Not only does Valley Central not want to share with us his immigration status. But the unfunny thing is that while I was researching this kidnapping, I found that he was arrested in Edinburgh in July for driving while intoxicated. The mugshots look identical. Apparently, Valley Central either did not investigate this man, are terrible at their reporting, or more likely, just did not want to share that information. So why is this illegal? So if he is an illegal alien, why is he here? Why has he not been deported? What is his immigration status anyway? If they are not going to provide that information, we are left to assume, and I assume illegal. Now a waitress, through no fault of her own, was kidnapped, raped, and beaten. So where is the justice for this victim? And again, why is this puke here anyway? It's another rape victim, folks, that will be swept under the rug. Another newly created victim that our politicians could care less about, or something would be done. It is another victim that is part of the collateral damage of big business and greed and power and votes and headcount. A damn shame that that's all we rank up to, isn't it? If you'd like to look at the two pictures, the first article, of course, as I told you, is at Valley Central, and the guy's name is Andrew Solers Ramos. If you want to look up the mugshot, you can go to bustednewspaper.com, and it lists it all right there. Hidalgo County. Funny how that was just missing from the article, right? So why is he still here if he got a DUI in July? Why is he out living large, being able to go and kidnap a waitress and assault her, beat the hell out of her, and rape her? And then he's got the nerve, the canolas, to call his girlfriend and put her at gunpoint to drive them around. The culture. It's the culture that is invading. Moving on. I have 3 items left that I'll be able to share with you. The one that we held over and 2 others. That's about all we'll have time for. This next item is disturbing at best, but such false pretenses, folks. It's at foxnews.com by the Associated Press, and the title is Woman Who Feared Deportation Drowns 2 Boys. Out of Willington, Delaware. A woman drowned her infant son and his 5-year-old half-brother in a bathtub hours after she called police and told them that she was worried about being deported, a Delaware police chief said on Tuesday. Kula Pilima, a native of Liberia who has lived in the United States for 2 decades, called 911 about 3:45 a.m. on Monday, saying that fearing that her visa had lapsed. It is not clear why Pilima was worried, because Immigration and Customs Enforcement say that she entered the United States lawfully and has no known criminal convictions. An officer had visited her home on Monday and told her that local authorities were not going to arrest her. The officer even gave her an immigration hotline number to call and observed the older boy was just doing completely fine during the visit. Palima called 911 again at about 8:30 a.m. and said that she had drowned her son, 4-month-old, and her other son, who was 5 years old. Palima, who is 30, was charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder and was being held on a $2 million bond. It's not clear if she has an attorney yet. Palima's boyfriend, however, on the other hand, the father of the boys, is a native of Nigeria. He was taken into custody by immigration authorities in Pennsylvania, not in Delaware, in Pennsylvania on September 14th. His name is Victor Ipil, 38, and who was in the United States legally but violated the terms of his status, I said. So it wasn't immediately clear what he had done. ICE just said that he violated his status. He has been released from custody on Monday on humanitarian grounds after being notified of the deaths of his sons. Okay. End of article. My take. Please. Oh, please. Let's call it what it is, shall we? This Casey Jones of the Associated Press really clearly could have written this a little different. Let's call it what it is. It is a deranged mother who, instead of doing everything she could for her children, instead murdered them. The children are pawns in the system to stay here. Why murder them? She was legally here. There was no reason. ICE had no beef with her. She had no record. She is legally in the country. This murdering and using the fear of deportation is nothing more than an excuse for her actions and her mental instability. How convenient, huh? Unfortunately, not for the boys. This is yet another example of what is created, the lawlessness, because we refuse to enforce our immigration laws, and in this case, she being legal, just apparently deranged. But you know the spin doctors are going to be at work on this one. Clearly there is something wrong with this woman, and her immigration status, legal, was not it. She had nothing to fear. And she murdered, drowned her 2 babies, and then blames the fear of deportation. Oh, please. Mental instability. Screaming loud. Just large. All right. This item is from VDare.com. The title is Memo from Middle America. Mexican gun control doesn't work, but mass immigration could bring it here anyway. By Alan Wall, dated the 15th. Immigration impacts every political issue, and if mass immigration continues, Americans' right to bear arms will be lost. The Mexican media is mostly opposed to America's Second Amendment. Mass shootings are widely publicized in the Mexican media, and blamed on the American gun laws. Mexico's Excelsior has a regular online section entitled Armed Violence in the United States. Mexico's gun laws are far stricter than Americans. It's not illegal to own one, but the government makes it very difficult. Civil gun ownership is under the authority of the military. It's harder to obtain a gun. There's a lot of paperwork and expense, and there's only one gun store in the entire country. It's unbelievable. You can go to VDare and read all of the history, but we only have time to touch on the points here. Wikipedia has gun laws in Mexico listed as the federal law of firearms and explosives also specifies that anyone who requires or acquires a weapon must inform the Mexican Defense Department. To bear a firearm, one must have a license. There are laws governing the foreign officials in Mexican authorities and territories. It goes on and on and on. It tells you all of this good stuff. It is a really good article by Alan. But the part that I really want to relay or share with you is his ending. He said, if the National Rifle Association really wanted to safeguard the Second Amendment, it should come out for an immigration shutdown. Indeed, David Cordera, the ammo land, recently blasted the way the NRA gives A grades to those who vote right on guns but support liberal immigration policies which will make the Second Amendment inoperative. Those who would fundamentally transform America are counting on a continued deliberate indifference from the gun owners' rights advocacy community. He said, Cordera is right. Do you want to protect the right to keep and bear arms? Then work to shut down immigration. Otherwise, you are just wasting your time. Great article. I'm sorry I can't share all of the information. Again, you can go to www.vdare.com. vdare.com. Look it up and read all of the information for yourself. Okay, we've got 6 minutes left, and I should be able to get this done for you and maybe even have a minute or two to say goodnight. This is posted at usatoday.com. It is dated the 17th. The title is Trump Plans Massive Increase in Federal Immigration Jails. The Trump administration is planning an increase in federal immigration jails across the country for the thousands of additional undocumented immigrants, illegal aliens, its agents are arresting. In recent weeks, ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency, has put out requests to identify privately run jail sites in Chicago, Detroit, St. Paul, Salt Lake City, and Southern Texas, according to notices published on a federal contracting website. It did not publicly announce its plan to house 4,000 more detainees at the facility. The detention expansion would represent the latest step in President Trump's efforts to crack down on illegal immigration. From January 22nd through September 9th, the agency has arrested 97,482 people suspected of being in the country illegally. That is a 43% increase over the same time period in 2016 under Obama. During the same span, ICE arrested 28,011 illegal undocumented immigrants, illegal aliens without a criminal record. That, my friends, is a 179% increase from the same period in 2016, when Obama went mainly after those who only committed serious offenses. Currently, ICE houses anywhere between 31,000 to 41,000 detainees each day in federal prisons, privately operated facilities, and local jails. Let me share that with you again. Currently, ICE houses anywhere between 31 to 41,000 detainees each day. In a statement, ICE said the requests for new jails are far from finalized, but the agency said they are in line with the White House request for an additional $1.2 billion with a B in the 2018 budget to increase detention capacity to 48,000 detainees a day. Trump supporters say that the new jail are necessary to tackle an estimated 11 million undocumented immigrants, illegal aliens. Jessica Vaughn noted that four of the cities identified for new jails, Chicago, Detroit, St. Paul, and Salt Lake, are all sanctuary cities. ICE cannot rely on the local law enforcement to cooperate with them in holding deportable criminals. So, they have to acquire their own space that they can control, Jessica Vaughn said. She said, this is very encouraging. ICE still has a long way to go before it can open any facility. The notices invite private companies to provide information on possible locations and whether it would be necessary to build new facilities or renovate existing ones. End of article. Woo-hoo. Nice way to end the show this week, huh? New jails. My only thought, and of course you knew I had to have one, right, is I agree with Jessica Vaughn. This is encouraging. However, with that said, wouldn't it just be much wiser and a lot less expensive just not to allow them in illegally in the first place? Or if they are caught, deport them now? Like enforcing our immigration laws? Wouldn't that be much cheaper? Less lawlessness, less victims before they're arrested. Lots of perks to enforcing our immigration laws. You will hear them here. You will not hear them at many other locations. But all right, we have 1 minute left. Look at that. Am I good? Down to the last minute. Again, at the beginning of the program, something I do not like to do, but I'm sharing with you. If you know of anyone that is interested in We the People being informed on all aspects of illegal immigration and are interested in helping expand the Ruthie Report, please have them get a hold of me, minnSir@yahoo.com. And if you would like to personally help, you can email me there. Contact me on our webpage. I do again apologize for bringing up the issue. There's no way that I can expand this program to 2, 3, 4, even 5 days a week without that assistance. So with that, thank you very much for tuning in. Hopefully we will continue to have a little bit of good news within the insanity. I hope you have a great week. See you next week. Good night.